The Minnesota Timberwolves stay alive in the Western Conference Final following a 105-100 win. They now trail this series 3-1. And not only did he save the season, Karl-Anthony Towns might have saved his time with Minnesota. You listen to the Bill Simmons podcast, they were talking about how they were looking at trade scenarios for Cat right around like the third quarter, because they are not even halfway through the third quarter. He's played 19 minutes. He has 9 points and 4 fouls. And then Naz Reid comes in and they immediately play better basketball. But then when Cat comes back in, he hits 3 of the biggest shots of the game that help Minnesota stay alive. And that is always going to be the frustrating part, I think, of Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't think he is consistent enough to reach the full ceiling that he has. Whether it is just like a too much of a reliance on the three-point shot, maybe not an understanding of when it's falling, when it's not. I do think that his... I don't want to say lack of ability, but he's not really going to blow by you like on a catch-and-shoot three. You kind of understand that when he has the ball out there, he's going to be shooting. Now, he was able to attack and create some openings for Rudy Gobert, so he's not going to do it, but it's not a strength of his, right? So I feel like it's just an awkward skill set for the guy. When it's working, though, it's phenomenal, and it's so difficult to defend. It's just not consistently there enough. One guy who was consistently there in this game was Anthony Edwards. He stepped up when the team needed him, and they made sure, I thought that they made a real effort, and he made a smart effort to get himself going early on in this game. Let's get him to the rim. Let's get him a few looks that will get him rolling and get that positive momentum moving for him. They didn't have that for Towns, who definitely seemed a little spooked in his shot selection early in this game, and then just let it fly in that fourth quarter. But Anthony Edwards gets 29, and it's exactly what the doctor ordered. If anyone can come back from 3-0 down, it might be these guys. Like, they are such a great defensive team, and when it's rolling, they can score so effectively as well, and they have size that can cause some problems for the Dallas Mavericks at times. I still think, like, Dallas, I think Dallas will be fine, but these guys have home court in 2 of the last 3. It is a raucous home court, even though they just lost 2 on that. So it's an interesting situation. On the Dallas side, the Mavs just came short. They were right there in the end again. This time, they didn't get the stops that they needed to come away with the victory. And it does really seem oversimplistic to just say, it's a make-or-miss league. But that really is what this one felt like for Dallas. Karl-Anthony Towns was hitting some shots that he wasn't in the last few games, and Luka Doncic was missing some shots that he was hitting earlier on in the series. And I think that really is what this one comes down to. Luka was still getting some good looks, Luka was still getting some good looks and still getting some opportunities. It's just not all of them went in at the same rate that they did before. I do think the Mavericks will be fine. I like that the role players stepped up. Hardy basically single-handedly kept him in this game. Jones had an all-time dunk. When Jones sails in for that alley-oop, I thought the game was over. I think that made it 83-82 for the Timberwolves, but I thought, okay, home court, here comes Dallas. This is it. This is the thing that starts the run, and the Mavericks are going to go to a championship game, and we're not going to have basketball for like a month and a half until the finals. But I do think that Minnesota weathered that well, and again, Dallas's big guys just didn't really come up as big as they did in Game 3. I do think that changes going into Game 5. So that is the story from the NBA.